Okay, I think this is the time to create our first model. We'll just review a couple of things about the data types and how Sequelize deals with the models. So I'll create a folder called models, and inside of it I will create users.model.javascript, and there I will start by importing a couple of things or destructing a couple of things from the object that Sequelize exports. So Sequelize, and I will extract the model object, enum, string, and text. So all of these actually, if you think about it, exist in this object. So yeah, or in this constructor function. So anyway, and I will create a class called, I like to make them plural, so users. I won't call it user. I think for me it's make more sense, but I'm not sure about you. But yeah. And what I will do, I will export something. So module dot export. I'm using node.js modules, so I'll export a function which should accept a Sequelize instance. So I'll get it from here, because when you create a model, you need to pass the Sequelize instance that connected with the server. So I need to pass this one here. Okay, so what I will do, so users.init. So this is how we define models. One of the way we define them. First object that represents the columns. The second one is a configuration object, which we need to pass the Sequelize to. And we can just put it like this, since they are the same. The key and the value holds the same token. We can just emit that like this. And here what I will do, I will start adding some columns. So first name, and I will review with you a couple of options for each column. So first thing, the type, the most important one, I will put it as a string. So you can leave it like this, or you can invoke it and pass some options. I believe there is a default length. I'm not sure about it, but usually you will pass a length. So you just invoke it, and length, for example, 256, doesn't matter, but yeah. Sorry, this is a comma. Allow null, so false. So this will throw an error if you didn't pass a first name. And unique, true. So this is like the unique constraint in SQL. And now, by the way, something to note: Sequelize will get these keys and add them as a column names in the database. But I like my database names like this, but my JavaScript code to be camel case. So the names in SQL will be underscore, but in JavaScript I like them to be camel case. This is the common approach. So what you can do is you can add field. This is the will override the name for that column. So first name like this. So yeah, maybe you can now add a column named about. The type of it will be text. So this is the text type, which holds so many characters. Allow null true. We can maybe now add email, for example. Type string, invoke it, length 256. Maybe the email should be unique. So unique, true, allow null, false. And now we can add something more interesting, like for example a role, which should be enum. So type enum should accept an array. So we have two enums, a user or admin. So a user could be a normal user or admin. And now we can add default value, which is user. So by default it's user. If you pass something else like admin, it will accept it. Something more than that, maybe our validation, which we will create eventually, will handle it. There is actually a common of other properties. For example, I won't add them, I will just show it to you. If we have a column named the password, you need to hash it, right? So there's actually a setter for each property. So when we need to insert it, this will map the value that the user provided. So you can use this function to return the hashed value, return maybe hash, something like this. And the value that the user provided is accessible via a function. I'll put a link in the description for it, but this is something to note. And there is also a get. There's also a get property which will map the value. You can use any other value for that record to map it also with the current value. Yeah, something just to remember, which I think in real world maybe you will do this. It depends on you. And by default, Sequelize will put created at and updated at columns and will keep track of them, so they will update it for you, which is very nice. But I think something I don't like, they will put it like this: created at and updated at. I want underscore. I want them like this. So to change this behavior, you go to the object with that represents the options. Yeah, the object that represents the options. When we pass the Sequelize, you put created at and put its name here. So like overriding the name, created at and updated at. And something I forgot is the ID and primary keys. And that will be something like this. So type integer. And this is also from here. Yes, integer. And to make it primary key, just primary key will be to true and auto increment true. So this will auto increment for us. But this is fine. But if you think about it, we will do this ID thing and this created at, updated at for all the models we have. So we might put it inside something and just put it here, like import it. So I will create a file called common model.js, and inside of there, so I will do a couple of things. I'll just copy paste to save some time. So I will import the integer type, destruct it here. Oops, this is so big. Okay. Then I will create an object called common model. So this is one of the common columns that almost all the tables might have. So the ID, it's a primary key auto increment integer. And common options should be this. So created at with this name. So overriding the names and updated at this. And I will export them. Oops. I will export them like this. So I'll export an object with these two properties. Since they are the same token, so this key will reference this object, and this key will reference this. And here in the user's model, I will import it like this. Import the object, this object, and extract these two variables from it. Extract these two properties into these two variables in it, something like this. Yeah. And I can remove this. And how to merge it with this object? You can use this new operator. I don't think I should call it new now. It's been in JavaScript for a while. But the spread, this is equivalent, by the way, to object.assign. So this is the target. This is the options we wrote. For example, these. Yeah, and this is the common model. So this will merge this object and this object into this new object. So yeah, it's like copying the object, and this is a shortcut for that. The same thing. It will just extract these properties from this object and put it here. So like going up one level, and we'll do the same thing for the common options. So remove these, just to save us some time when we write these for all other models. So something we should do, so as you can see, I exported a function which accepts this Sequelize, and I just run this init function in it. And what I need to do at the end, I'll just return users.init.sync, sorry. So sync will put this inside our database using this using the connection from this object, and this will return a promise. So you can see .then, you can put .then console.log created user or the user table, and catch it console.error. And by the way, sync will if the table exists, it won't sync it. You won't add anything to that into the database. If you want to force the sync, which means it will drop the previous table and put this one with the new changes, you can put force to true. I will eventually put this, but for now, since I will just put it. So force to true. Something to note, And by the way, this I didn't mention this, but this Sequelize object, when you connect, it will keep the connection alive. So you need to close the connection. So this is something very important. But basically, if you are using frameworks, they will do this thing for you. So, and they will probably have an adapter that wraps above Sequelize. So you'll use it in a different way. But if you understand these things, you will use that in very easy. You will be in very easy way. Okay, so we return that here. So we can go into our index JavaScript, and we need to change this a little bit. So we create a file called con.javascript, and I'll just copy these things here, put it here, and I'll return the init function. So that's why I added it here, and inside of it I'll return Sequelize. So I'll return this variable, and I will export. So module.exports an object called the key is called Sequelize, and the value of it is the return from the init function. So this, and I'll remove this. Put it here for now. I believe this is it. Just remember that this you need to close the connection. But anyway, so what I will do here, so const, I will destruct something from this // from the con. I'll destruct the Sequelize variable, the Sequelize key into a Sequelize variable here. So so this here will run this function, we return Sequelize, assign it to this key, and I will extract it into a variable called Sequelize here, as you can see when I hover it. So hover over it. So another thing I will extract is, or I will import is the user's model. So require from models the user's model. So since if you look into the export here, I'm exporting a function. So here I can name it whatever I like. So I'm assigning the value of this function to this variable. And what I will do, so after authenticate, if everything is fine, I will run this callback function. So async, I will make it async. So I need to create, for example, a user's module, then create the post module, which depends on the user module. So it needs the user module to exist before it gets created, because there's a foreign key between them. So that's why I put the async, so I can await this result, then create another tables. But this is for future videos, but So console log connected, and now what I will do, I will just await users module and pass to it the Sequelize. And if anything bad happens here, this catch will catch it, by the way. And I believe that's it. We can just now node dot. We should see a lot of things appears in the log. By the way, they are Sequelize by default. If you don't provide a couple more options to it, will log everything it will do into the standard input, standard output. So as you can see, drop table if exists, that comes from our force property. So it will drop it first. It creates this enum and a couple of things. It do a lot of things. They will log it here. And now, if I go to our database, me connect again. We have this Sequelize test database inside the public schema, sorry. We have these tables, the users. Let me describe it. Let me remove all of these so you can see. Close. Okay. So we have this users table. As you can see, it's called users. With capital U, I will change that. I'd ask them to be small. So we have these columns, ID, first name as underscore as we wanted. The created add, updated add, also underscore as we wanted. The role have the default user type of the user enums. And this is, so they created this sequence. Yeah, it's called sequence in Postgres. The data types, user defined, which means enum. Timestamp with time zone. Character varying. This is the length, which is like we added. And for the text, this is the length. So yeah, basically everything is fine, which is very nice. But something that I forgot to mention. So you can, and the options, also another thing you can pass is the model name. So I will call it users with a small character. And let me run it again. Now I believe we should have two tables. One with capital, one with small. So, oops. So I'll connect, disconnect. Yeah, two tables. This is our correct table. I will delete this so you won't see it in the next video, but this is it. So this is a good start, and thank you.